All right. Well, welcome to the show, Adam. How you doing today? What's going on, man?
Oh, nothing, just trying to catch up on a bunch of work, honestly.
Yeah.
So this has been a welcome reprieve from that. I was just on vacation. So, when you go on vacation, it's not that you got time away from your work. You're just postponing it for later. So,
Yeah.
So other than that, though, pretty great.
Nice. Did you go anywhere for vacation, or you stayed at home, a little staycation?
Yeah, I got the Pfizer, and so I went to Nashville and really tested the limits of its effectiveness, because Nashville is exactly where everyone who has not been taking anything seriously has been going to vacation, it seems. So I was asked to elbows with the worst that America has to offer, but it was a lot of fun.
I love Nashville. It's been too long since I've been there. Yeah, bud. Okay. Well, let's start with just real quick intros. You can intro yourself, Adam. Just share your name, your pronouns, where people can find you.
Yeah, I am Adam Vilmin. I am one of the hosts of Southpaws Sports on Means TV. I go he, him, they, and yeah, you can find me mostly on Twitter. I unofficially operate the Southpaws Sports handle because I definitely am not evading any bans. I haven't been barred from using my Twitter. I just, someone has to run that account, and it just happens to be me now. Right. But yeah, no, that's mostly where you find it. I have an Instagram and stuff. I just can't get into it because the feed is so garbage.
Yeah, no, you can't get into just get into posting there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's there's no rhythm to it. It's not like Twitter. So
it is trash. Honestly, I hate it there. I haven't posted in a long time there, and Facebook. Just don't touch them anymore.
Yeah, it's rough because that's where all the I'm really into bluegrass and blues music and roots music in general, and that's where all those people are because I mean it's kind of more, I guess, the format if you're trying to share your musical projects for video and stuff. So people like it. They're also just tend to lean a little older, and I think Twitter's a little bit much for older folk to handle or less tech savvy people. Because I mean, it is an anachronistic art form, so we're not. It definitely appeals to people who maybe just don't want to figure out some of that stuff. So I try to go on there to go check that kind of stuff out a little bit, but yeah, it's just I can't get into it the same way.
It's absolute trash. Well, Adam, if you don't mind, talk a little bit more about your current projects. You mentioned being on Southpaws Sports, which, for what it's worth, I don't know if I'm ruining the thing, but it took me months to realize that a southpaw is a lefty. Is a lefty, a left-handed pitcher, right? In baseball or something like that. And then, of course, y'all are lefties, and you're on a lefty streaming service, Means TV, and it all came together one day. I'm like, oh, that's a great fucking name.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you saying that it's a great name because I personally really dislike it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's not that I dislike it. I just think that the joke is too obvious, and there's a couple of accounts and previous shows that are Southpaws that are super libs. There's an MMA podcast that is very good. Those guys are very cool. A lot of our fans like them too. They also go by Southpaws. But yeah, it is. That is my main project. We do kind of a leftist cultural analysis of sports. You're not going to get a lot of the You're not going to get much of the. Oh, LeBron had this stat line, or we try to cover a bit of it because we like sports. But to be honest, as I've moved along in analyzing sport in our culture through a Marxist lens, I have become less and less enthusiastic about participating in spectator sport. It has encouraged me to kind of participate more in recreational sports and playing sports like pickup basketball in my community. Obviously, that's kind of taken a hit during the pandemic, but yeah, I mean, so we'll look at stuff like that. Like through a leftist lens, we try to part of our producer's goal, because he's not a sports fan, Nick at Means. One of his goals for our show that I think has been kind of successful is that we're trying to like show you that like sports, like anything in our society, can be analyzed in a Marxist lens. There's no such thing as inherently bad cultural items. Like, I mean, at least at that, kind of macro level, sports is essentially indistinguishable from the arts or anything else like in our culture that we do. It just maybe is the recipient of maybe inequitable attention in terms of resources in our culture. It appeals to reactionary elements of our culture, is used by powerful forces to encourage reactionary behavior. But it's not inherently bad or anything. And we kind of try to give people who felt. I know that there's a lot of people who feel bad about watching sports, and I mean, you should a bit, but like I think that there's certain people in leftist spaces who feel personally slighted by the sports industrial complex of this country, whether it was athletes being mean to them in high school, or their orchestra program got cut while the football team got more money, like shit like that, which I understand. But there's a little bit of like a sports ball herder, like this is a Super Bowl on type shit from even major publications. Like, I mean, I don't want to necessarily get into an argument about Jacobin, but I would say most of Jacobin sports coverage is much of like, oh, can you believe that there's leftist stuff to see in sports? And it's just like, we don't need that. We don't need people kind of like talking down about sports, in my opinion. And we try not to do that. We try to give you a framework for enjoying and analyzing sports, whether you were a fan before or not.
I think y'all do a great job of that. There are three of you on the show, yourself and two other fine gentlemen.
Yep.
And I tell you what, it really is great because I was, I'm sort of disillusioned from sports, generally speaking, but y'all make it tolerable to like think about and sort of have conversations about again. And it's sort of become part of, generally my each week I'll pull it up and listen into y'all. And I think it's great, and I definitely suggest it for everyone. I've often said that there are many shows on Means TV that make it worth the subscription alone just for that show, and I think your show is one of them. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, man.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. It's based. Okay, well, anything else that you do project-wise in terms of, outside of Southpaws Sports? We can even talk about your hobbies.
Yeah, I mean, I am definitely a hobbyist, I guess. I'm a kind of person that they definitely. I'm an engineer in my day-to-day life. Like, I'm a software engineer.
Okay.
And basically, since I started cooking when I was in my early 20s, I've kind of just I started to embrace this kind of, like, I always joke about it, I call it like the engineering mindset, where I like to like get really into things, find out all their component parts, study the parts, rearrange them in new ways, and learn how people arrange them. So when I get into like hobby, I get like way in, which is honestly how this show started. For me, I was in college and I just like started getting really obsessed with sports history and sports sociology, and like I ended up with like nearly getting a minor in history because of it, just because that's just how my brain works. But yeah, no, I personally in my day-to-day life, I play a lot of music. Like I mentioned, I'm very into bluegrass and blues and roots music. I played a banjo. And then I also played the harmonica. I've been really fortunate that I live in Durham, North Carolina, where there's a very vibrant roots scene. I've gotten to go since getting the Pfizer gotten to go to some blues jams and stuff, and just been so beneficial to get to have a space. It's like I was saying with professional sports. I think there's so much people tie so much of like our cultural things. They tie them to consumerist products, whether that be spectator sports is sports, recorded music, or going to go watch someone else perform music is music. And I think people lose value in, I guess, the democratization of those commodities. And so I've been very fortunate that that those institutions on the local level have not been just completely destroyed by whether it be COVID or real estate developers knocking down all the buildings where people were doing this stuff. That I can go and participate in the music, keeping the music alive, being part of the culture, and not distancing myself from just something I buy, like whether that be a concert ticket, sports game ticket or whatever. So that's been a lot of fun to rediscover. That's like what I've really gotten into folk music as part of like I get not as part of my leftism, but like I finally understand folk music because of leftism, where it is about the democratization of owning the means of production of music. And I think that's very great. I think there's lots of things like folk music, I mean, DIY punk, SoundCloud rap, like all that stuff is rolled up into this idea that I have been really chewing on of like what it means to really take ownership of our lives, which is what I think the whole project of socialism was about. So yeah, that's what I spend most of my time doing is playing music. Got some bonsai trees that I love to trim. My wife and I garden a bunch too. And I also recently bought a Miata. So I've been getting into car maintenance, which has been cool because it's something I've always wanted to do. And I've now changed my transmission fluids, my oil, spark plugs, air filters, all that stuff. I'm putting a new exhaust on myself. So yeah, it's been a lot of yeah, I don't have any kids and I don't really plan on them. So I really, it's a constant between, I don't know, my undiagnosed ADHD and just like my, I guess, zest for life. I just always am digging into something, just trying to stay busy all the time. So.
Yeah, I love that, Adam. All right. So now we get to move along to the next part of the conversation. Adam, we get to talk about your leftward bound journey. Yeah, so a little chat about how you ended up on the left. You've mentioned Marxism before. You don't have to define your own ideology if you don't want to. You're encouraged to if you're comfortable. How about we just start off the conversation right there, see where it goes?
Yeah.
Leftward bound.
Yeah, I don't know if I really have an ideology per se. I don't read enough to have that. Like Matt at Midwest Socialist was like asking me to make him a reading list once, and I'm like, dog, I don't read enough books. Like, I know I come across as very academic on the show sometimes, but that's really just me reusing the same 4 or 5 books that I've read. I always joke my leftward journey started just because I grew up fairly low income. Is beneficiary of like a lot of lunch programs, and I had the Blagojevich child health care growing up, and my parents are both school teachers, and I guess it's hard to say. I think like a lot of people, I graduated high school in like 2007. So most of my kind of like coming of age politically, happened during the Bush era. And yeah, I mean, obviously there wasn't really the kind of language, I guess, that we have today. There was no real Bernie. I mean, Bernie was obviously around. I knew who he was. I really liked him. throughout high school. But yeah, I mean, I thought I was a communist in high school. Like the band I was in, we used a lot of like Soviet imagery and stuff like in our music. But I didn't really have any idea what that really meant. I kind of like sort of read some like the manifesto and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I really didn't know what that really meant in practice, I guess. Like I knew that I believed in like a system of equity or whatever. So I think I went to a few like CPUSA meetings, and we went and we were like organizing a bus trip to go canvass for Obama. Like that's where it was when I was like coming of age. But yeah, then obviously things like the financial crisis happened, Obama happened. And I would say the next kind of great awakening for me was Occupy. And just generally, I mean, I was on Reddit a lot back then, and Reddit was a lot different back then. There was a lot more. I mean, like obviously the Ron Paul stuff I kind of got into for like a minute because I was very into the anti-war, the anti-prison industrial complex stuff. I was like really into that, and I guess like I was persuaded by the arguments that like being self-preservationist was like the natural order or something. I don't know. I wasn't really into it very long. But I would definitely say my conception of capitalism was basically some kind of like heavily liberalized social democracy, like Nordic state shit. That was probably my conception of what socialism was. So yeah, I got into Occupy, and like I said, I was on Reddit, and I kind of just, I mean, I was into the Greens. I had been involved with the Green Party for a while. I did some canvas work for a guy who was running for governor in Illinois for the Greens, and they started.
Who was that?
So
who was that?
Rich Whitney, I think.
Okay, not ringing about. Okay.
So probably about 2012, well, 10-ish. 10, yeah, I think about 10. So yeah, so after Occupy, I definitely got really into like the 1% thing, and I started like getting into income inequality. And by then I think Bernie's profile was starting to raise a bit nationally. Because he was big on Reddit for a while, and I was kind of like getting into his ideas. But yeah, like I said, most of my political outlet was anti-war stuff, because that was still pretty big. It was definitely waning in terms of resistance to it by Occupy's time, and then organizing through the Greens. And that was my big thing. Like I remember Nate and I kind of met around Obama's second reelection, or his reelection. And I remember us getting like a big argument over the Green Party. Because Nate, if he's listening, Nate knows he was a big ass lib back then. And I was really, really much better because I was telling him to vote for Greens for fucking Jill Stein. And so I was definitely in the Greens. Then I started getting really into like post-futurism stuff, like UBI. I was really into UBI and automated futures. This is probably Reddit too. I was in Reddit, and I was kind of getting into I was starting my transition from being a chef into a software engineer. And Ferguson and stuff, happened. So I was like very anti-police by then. But like I said, I really didn't have like a framework for like tying all of this stuff together yet. And I would say, yeah. So then I started reading more about UBI and automated futures and stuff. Got really into this economist named Nick Zernick. And he basically wrote a lot about, about how we live in neoliberalism, and like I started learning about kind of like this like death of ideology and stuff that we were living in, and that kind of just started leading me. By then, I was back in school, and I started just kind of seeking out, I guess, more stuff. Like I kind of got into like the late stage capitalism subreddit and some of the communism ones, and like it had definitely changed. 'Cause, like I had always subbed to stuff like that, but like they weren't really posting anything, like the anarchy subreddit would just be like posting Black Flag songs and shit. And now it was like people posting like actual discussions of theory and quotes and recommendations. So I got back to school, and I think when I was in school, I got into Chapo and that kind of stuff. And I was also reading, I was just reading a lot. I was taking classes. I was taking these classes in school that were really pushing my ideas. I was starting to relate them to sports, like I mentioned. And I guess kind of started, like, honestly, most of the theory I've read really relates to how workplace organization and like labor organization worked in sports. And I've picked up like a lot of these ideas on like how race is constructed, how things like that, like through the lens of sport, through Marxist sociologists that work in sport. So like I haven't really. I gotta be honest. I haven't really. I've read a lot. I mean, I've read like Chomsky and stuff. But yeah, I read all my theory through sports people who read the theory for me. So that's kind of where I got, and then kind of just pulled it all together into this this kind of framework. I really believe that like defeating white supremacy is like I guess you could call it the original sin of like our society. And we have to destroy that. Like it informs just like every way we interact with each other, with the world, these systems of like dominance and control and stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, I just really kind of just got to this point where I was just like, I started working. I got a white collar job, and I hate it. I feel so disconnected from my labor. I feel disconnected from offering the world like anything, having any sort of purpose. And that's kind of like, once I went through that, I just kind of, started organizing around the idea that just like, I think everybody is offered like basic human dignities to like express themselves and connect with other people in like meaningful ways. And that's really just like what informs most of my beliefs. Is just that like I'm just so sick of being sold. We get like in the US specifically, we get all this stuff, like we get offered all these things, and they just suck. Like they're not like very good. Like I would rather just have less things and more time with people, and less time spent like making stupid stuff. Like, I mean, it's not even that I dislike writing code. I like helping people, especially in our space. I've written some scripts for people at Beans, to help them make their lives easier. And like, I like doing that kind of stuff. And I really liked cooking because I felt so connected to my labor when I was cooking, because, I could really sense that I was like improving people's lives. I was creating special moments for people, I mean, not always. A lot of people did complain, but fuck them, whatever. We get a whole nother thing about domination control. But yeah, that's just, I just feel like I am expected by taking part in this like white supremacist society that we live in and we benefit from. Like, I'm just asked to agree to things that that we're implicitly doing, that I'm implicitly agreeing to allow to happen by being in the society and perpetuating these things that just like really don't even give me like that great of a deal. Like, I'm asked to we're like perpetuating these like unspeakable horrors against the earth and against each other. And like, what do I really get out of it? Like, I get this fucking, like, capitalism is giving me this Coke with coffee. Not very good. Gives me a bit of a buzz, I guess. But that's like, yeah, like, it's like I get a new fucking iPhone, every 2 years or whatever. And it's just like, it's just all this excess and waste and domination and destruction and carnage for just nothing. For like, I just want to hang out. I want to hang out. I want to fucking play some music with people. I want to live like a long, fulfilling life, filled with friends and riding my canoe down the river and shit. Like, I don't ask for much. Like, and I guess that's the thing is if you're in this society and you want to succeed, you have to just really want, I guess, all the stuff. And it just, I don't know. It doesn't appeal to me at all. And so that's I guess my ideology in a nutshell. It's just like, I don't need all this stuff. Could we just have more time?
Yeah, raw deal.
Yeah, it sucks. I am like set up to be like just like have the most privilege, wealth, and access of like almost anyone in human history. And let me tell you, like, I know I know, like, I guess I'm speaking with the privilege, but it is not worth it to me. Like, I would gladly give it all up to just be able to do my show, go canoeing, go, take care of my house and see some music. Like, it's just, it's not too much, I feel like, to ask. But people are just driven by this lie, this great lie that we must like we must dominate everything and get as much as possible. And I think that's just the rot at the heart of our society, and that's going to be the downfall of the United States. Hopefully not like the entire world, which is probably my greatest fear. As I would say that my direct goals are, we need to immediately bring an end to like this just unsustainable consumption, because it will literally end the world as we know it. So that's like kind of, I guess, like my long-term goal, which is motivated by like, I want everybody to just like be able to have fulfilling lives of dignity in the way that they would like to live. Like, I feel like those two goals are pretty compatible. Like, yeah, so.
Adam, oh my gosh. Excuse me. The idea is we're planting seeds. Hopefully we can come back and see what we've planted and return and continue talking about some things. But you really dug in there, man. That was wonderful. That was wonderful.
Yeah, I'm
truly.
glad.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I think that gives us enough, and we can move along to the next part of the discussion, which is #BeBest. We ask you to look at your life, distill some life lessons, or be just pure life lessons or leftist lessons, and think about a younger version of yourself if you could go back in time, or of course just think about giving advice to someone listening in chat.
Yeah, like, my biggest regret is that, like, when I was younger, I was like really into drugs, and I partied a lot, and ended up with the opiate addiction. But that's not honestly what I would have said is like, don't do that. What I really would say is that I think when I was younger, I was really scared of believing that I could do whatever I wanted, like that I was capable, and that I knew what I wanted, and it was okay to change my mind about it later, once I had lived it. And because, like, I think I thought I was living this at the time, I thought I was living like this really outside of the lines, you know, bucking society kind of life. And to be honest, like, I mean, I really wasn't doing anything that interesting. I wasn't taking any real risks. I was hanging out in basements and shit, smoking weed or shooting drugs or taking acid or whatever, and listening to music. And I was just honestly like a really boring person. And you know, I wasted like a good 3-4 years just like being an asshole. And I would say, just, you know, like, I don't know, you know, just don't be afraid that you can't do something, because you know, if you can, like, I know it sounds stupid, but it's like if you can imagine it, you can probably do it. It's been my experience. I know that there's limitations and stuff, and everyone has different abilities, but you know, like, I think so many people, I was talking about this with my wife yesterday, there's just so many people, myself included, when I was younger, that just are so afraid of getting told they're doing the wrong thing, or feeling like the voice inside their head is thinks that they're doing the wrong thing, or that they're not like living up to someone's expectations, that they don't even know who it is anymore. And you shouldn't do that. Like, you live. I mean, you know, probably if you're watching the stream, especially, you know what's right and wrong, and you know what like hurting another person is, and you probably, the things that you want to do aren't going to actually like hurt people. You know, like if you're trying to dream bigger for yourself or try something, you know, you should go for it. And it's hard. It's hard to decide that, and I still struggle with like with it. But you know, you got to set goals and try to achieve them, and evaluate at points if you still want to make those goals. If you are going to make those goals, if you've made them and now you have bigger goals. Because I honestly, that last one is going to be what happens probably for most people. Is, you know, I've made lots of goals, and then I get to it, and it's like, this wasn't big enough. This wasn't like, I mean, I was thinking of a goal that was achievable, which you have to do, but you know, it's like, I thought that was going to be the end, and I get to it, and it's like, this wasn't even nearly big enough. Like this, you know, I could do so much. And I mean, that would be my advice to myself back then. That's my advice to people now is if, you know, like, don't listen to this voice in your head telling you that, like, oh, people are laughing at you, or people aren't going to take you seriously anymore. Like, if you think it's important, it probably is, and you should do it.
Excellent advice, Adam. I'm loving this.
This
is a blast chatting so far. Yeah. Chat's loving it too. So, yeah, if you can imagine it, you can do it. Yeah, good shit. All right, so Adam, that brings us to the Inquisition, the Leftist Inquisition, the questionnaire. Yeah, everyone loves it.
The torture chamber.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a torture. That said, you can pass or skip any question for any reason.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Do you have a favorite word, Adam?
That one I was kind of like struggling with. I don't know if I really have a favorite word. I like the word onomatopoeia because it kind of sounds like what it is.
Nice.
I don't know. I kind of like that. I studied linguistics in school too, so like a lot of words have just kind of like devolved into just like, I can't, you know, like when you read a word too many times, it just turns to mush. Like I've had that happen too many times. So yeah.
Adam, do you have a least favorite word? It's pretty much in the same vein. We can pass as well.
Yeah, no, that one I kind of thought because I saw it, and I'm really not a fan of that fungible word that's come out. It's just a gross word. Like it sounds like a dirty like gym shower flip flop. Like that's what it makes me think of. Right. So yeah, it's not a good word. Not a good thing either.
Right. Fungible or not.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite drug, a vice, or guilty pleasure? And or if you want, you can name one of each.
Well, drugs, like I mentioned, I had an opiate addiction. I'm a huge kratom head these days. Yeah, I mean, if I had, I mean, if I had to pick one, and if I was on my deathbed or something, I could do whatever I want. I would tee up a big shot of Dilaudid. I don't advise you doing that. Don't do Dilaudid, but it is my favorite drug. My vice is honestly going to get lunch all the time. I love eating lunch at a restaurant. I love getting like a sandwich or something. I mean, I love eating at restaurants in general, which I don't know if that's not woke or woke at this point. But that is my vice. I spend probably a little too much money going out to eat just because I love eating different kinds of food and stuff. And then I guess like my new kind of guilty pleasure is I bought him. Like I said, I bought a Miata. I drive it around. I know it's not good for the environment, but it's just really fun to drive like 90 miles an hour in the country around some curves and stuff. And it's a it's a 6 speeds manual transmission. It's so much fun to drive with the top down. The weather's obviously perfect right now in North Carolina. Yeah, it's fucking great. I'm taking it up to the mountains in a month or so to drive a bunch of roads there. It is just, yeah, it's the most exhilarating thing. And it was also the first time I really ever made a really like ill-advised large purchase. So, and it wasn't really that expensive. I bought a pretty old one, bought a 2006. So it wasn't very expensive, but like I have like the same thing Brian on Street Fight will talk about, where like I'm like obsessively checking my bank accounts, and even though I know that there's money in them and stuff, like because it's just like I'm gonna wake up and this was all a big joke on me, because it obviously would, the whole world wants to take advantage of the fact that my greatest fear is that I'll have no money and have to, all the things that I love will be gone. So, so it was difficult, but I did it and I got over it, and I love the Miata.
Stoked for you, dude.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right. Do you have a sound or a noise that you love?
I do. Also, I wanted to shout out the chat that Tail of the Dragon is exactly where I'm going in a month. So, yeah, I love it. It's the best part. Anyways, the sound. This one hit me. I realized it is a Hammond organ. Really hitting like that, like woo sound. The last concert. Well, I've seen music since now, but. Yeah. The concert I went to like last indoors, that was like before COVID, was Sturgill Simpson. And he had this really awesome guy on with like every vintage keyboard and synthesizer you could think, all the classics. And he just like wailed on a Hammond for like a while in one of the songs. I can't remember what song it is. And this guy next to me was like, man, he was like 4-H champion. I was in Charlotte, so and I'm from downstate Illinois, so like these are kind of, I've seen a lot of people from like archetypically from my past. But yeah, he's the 4-H king. He had like the pressed jeans and the dip pocket and tucked in plaid shirt and worn boots, and I mean he was literally crying at the sound of the organ. And he's just like, man, it sounds so good. I'm like, yeah, man, this is literally the best sound in the world. Like, so that's my favorite sound, is the Hammond organ.
Hammond B3, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a least favorite sound? B2 Hammond.
Yeah.
Just wasn't as good.
No, that is 100%. My wife chews her tongue when she's like thinking, and what? I can hear it through walls. Like she like. Go like this, like so chew on her tongue while she's like thinking or something, and it's the fucking worst noise. I hate it so much. I'll hear it like across the room, and I'll be like, stop chewing your tongue, stop chewing your tongue. Like it just drives me nuts. So that is my most hated noise. It's awful. It's the worst noise.
Oh,
yeah.
Whoa, I don't know about that. Okay, now if you came from Wisconsin. You did not come from Wisconsin. You said downstate Illinois.
Yeah, I'm from Bloomington.
So unfortunately, you get one answer to this question unless you break the rules, and then I can't stop you. What's your favorite cheese, Adam?
To be honest, I don't really like cheese.
Oh, okay.
But I am a fan. I like a good 5-year aged cave Gouda every once in a while, like a nice hard salty cheese like that. But yeah, I don't really like. I have never liked it like since I was a kid. So, which is weird because I'll drink. When I was a kid, I would drink on break at Target. I would drink like a 2 quart of milk, like just on my lunch break. So, like, I'm definitely Midwestern. Like, I just don't like the cheese. I just don't like the cheese for some reason.
All right, no cheese for you. Adam, if you were reincarnated as some plant or non-human animal, and if somehow you had the ability to choose, I don't know, what would it be?
I've always kind of just wished I was a house cat, to be honest. It seems like a good gig. But I've always wished that since I was a kid, honestly. I just like it seems so much simpler. So that's definitely house cat.
I love it. Do you have cats? Do you have
I do.
pets?
I've always had cats my whole life growing up. Yeah. I have 2 now. We had 3 when we moved here. My cat, the first cat I bought, I got from the Humane Society. I got a cat when I was still single that I had before I got with my wife, and he recently passed away like I know 2-ish years ago. So, but we used to have 3. Now we have a dog, which I've never had, which is an adventure because we got a hard dog. We have a husky Malamute mix, so difficult dog. Sometimes very very lovable, but he is a handful sometimes. So
demanding.
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's say at the end of your life you go to your version of heaven, and you're at your version of the pearly gates, and there's your version of God, and I don't know, what would you like them to say?
Like honestly, I just don't. I was like thinking about this question, and I was like, I don't care. Like I don't feel like I have unanswered questions in my life at this point. Because like I mean, when I was younger, I used to really dwell on like these questions of purpose and or like what comes after what came before, I guess. And it's just I mean, like I said, like my ideology I feel like arises from that in the fact that like I think I have these questions of my purpose and all that feel so unfulfilled because I am inherently provided no opportunity to really solve that question. And so, I mean, I know the answer. Like, I know, I don't know if I know the answer, but I believe that the answer is here on Earth. So, like, I would spend my time finding it on here, and I don't think that when I got there, it would probably just be like, well, you've made it to the end, my friend, or whatever. Like, like I feel like it would just be a continuation. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess I'd never realized like kind of how Zen my philosophy is in life, but I know I feel very content with the moment that, and taking what the moment gives. And I mean, not to say I don't struggle with what life gives me, because that is difficult, frequently. But yeah, I think the answers are here, in us and other people and stuff like that. So I don't need God to tell me. I'll tell God what I learned when I get up there.
Okay. So Adam, if you could meet an influential leftist, they could be dead or alive. Mm-hmm. Who would you like to meet and have a hypothetical conversation with?
Who I'd like to meet, and this is someone I'm not sure if they're leftist. I don't really know their personal ideology. I know some of their actions and what they've said. But I would really like to meet Earl Scruggs, the famous banjo player, considered by many the father of bluegrass banjo. But Earl was a man who was just very open to learning from other people, from learning from his experience and processing that, and and giving his own take on it. And but because of that, he toured a lot in his early years with Bill Monroe. Very difficult road life, a lot of sleeping in a limo apparently, and driving crappy country roads, and never seeing your family. And he eventually got to parlay that into the kind of like international renown that like he was capable of and that he deserved. And when he got to that, this was the 60s, and because he's just such an open-minded guy, he got involved in hearing what people were saying, even though he was kind of older. He was probably in his mid 40s by then. And he got involved in the anti-war movement. He had his wife. His wife was his tour manager, and he really stopped a lot of people trying to stop her because she was a woman. So, yeah, I'd just like to meet him. He's a fascinating guy to me.
Earl Scruggs.
Earl Scruggs.
Cool. Yeah, for sure. A fantastic musician, just off the charts.
Yeah.
Okay, then Adam. Whew, I don't know. Do you? So the next question is like, if you had a hypothetical conversation with Earl Scruggs, what would they say? You can ask them anything you like hypothetically. I don't know. This is one of the questions I'm thinking about getting rid of. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. What I would want to know is I would want to like actually get a read on his beliefs, because he wasn't super outspoken about them necessarily. I mean, he obviously he protested the war prominently ish. Mm-hmm. He broke up his original band, Flat and Scruggs, over it.
Oh.
Well, sort of over it. Flat was more conservative. Wanted to go back to playing the smaller venues and touring a lot. And Earl did not want to do that because he was old and he wanted to do stuff with his boys, which is what he ended up doing, is starting a band with his sons.
Okay.
But they also did not get along. Questions of ideology, and so yeah, I would just I'd want to know, I guess, what you're asking me from Earl. So just kind of like, what do you believe, like that? Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So the last question is, oh no, hold on. A favorite leftist book or author? I think we've named a couple things along the way. I can't remember anything exactly.
Well, I've mentioned books.
And to be fair, I'm not well read. Yes, but go on.
Yeah. I have books.
Nice.
I would say, just looking, the big book for me, in terms of like the sports stuff, and he's a good friend of mine now, is Game Misconduct by Dr. Coleman Lamb. By Dr. Nathan Coleman Lamb. It's a great framework for introducing leftist analysis, like in spectator sport. It's just been like so beneficial to me as I learn how to analyze. Excuse me, the Coke got to me. It has been so useful to me as a tool for learning how to like answer these questions, find other people working on this research. And Dr. Nathan's come on our show a few times. He's always great to talk to. He's started his own very successful podcast now. So yeah, he's just, his book and him have been like such a great thing to have in my life. And I always recommend. I think I've bought the book like 3 or 4 times for people because I love it that much. So, yeah. Yeah, Dr. Coleman Lamb is here. Let me look it up because I always spell it wrong too. Kalman hyphen Lamb, so Lamb. You can follow him on Twitter NKALAMB. That's his handle.
All right.
So yeah, that book is great. The other book that I am extremely fond of is The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. I've read it at many points in my life, and it's always like brought me something different. I've even gotten to take it at I've even gotten to take like a close read of it in college. So yeah, I love that book. It's like I read it because in Slaughterhouse-5, what's his face? Kilgore Trout says you either can read sci-fi or read that book, and that's all you need to read. And I read it, and I think that's an apt suggestion. Like it has everything in there. It's got questions of existentialism. It's got family stuff. It's got questions of Russian supremacy, which obviously is something deeply on all of our minds at all times today. Is should we let the Eastern Orthodox Church run the world? Dostoevsky would argue yes. Yes, we should.
Beautiful. All right. Adam, that's great. Brothers Karamazov. Karamazov? What? I don't even know.
I would say Karamazov, but that's just
I didn't mean to correct you.
My idiotic accent that I have.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
All right, Adam. So you are not a live streamer, but you put together some really beautiful content. Southpaws has some of the best production in the game, and I really love what y'all do. So this does ask streamer tips. You can instead change it to maybe content creator tips as a content creator yourself. Otherwise, feel free to, give us some content creation advice.
I was talking about me and Brett from Street Fight. We sometimes play video games together, and we were kind of talking about this one night, and we have just noticed that like people who do not a bad job, but there are people who do it and they are trying to be someone else. And this goes for pretty much anything you can make when you're trying to write a book or you're trying to, I don't know, do comedy or write music. And I know at a certain point you have to start like from a place that and you've never done it, so you don't have anywhere to start other than other people's stuff. Like I did that too, like at one point. But that stuff I did was garbage, and I had to learn. This is a piece of advice I got from Brian. As you can tell, the Street Fight guys have been incredibly influential to me. They've been so helpful in learning how to giving me advice like this. So I feel like I have to share it with you because it's not my real advice. It's theirs. But Brian, told me, he said that, the first few months that you do it, you're going to be really bad at it. Unless you're like there's like a few people who are just like prenatally gifted, which I think we all know who those kinds of people are. And you're not probably one of them, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to be good. Like you just have to find your voice and think about what that is. And you really, like that's the thing with our show is that there are a million fucking sports podcasts and sports shows and sports YouTubers and sports streamers. And like I especially see it, like I'm even just thinking because I'm a White Sox fan and that's the Twitter I'm probably most plugged into. There's like always somebody thinking that they're going to start some like two dudes having a beer and talking sports podcast. And like, that's not to say, like, obviously there's only so many formats that work, but you're going to have to do more than that. And you're also going to do it. It's going to be fun for like 3 or 4 episodes. Then people are going to stop telling you that it's good. You're not going to be able to keep posting it to places to plug it. You're not going to get that hit of attention and everybody quits. So what you do is you just get past that hump and then you will be better. And then you will be like, you'll find something that you can do that other people aren't doing, or at least you'll find a couple people. Like, I mean, we did this for years before we really found anybody larger than like maybe 100 people that really enjoyed our show, and that was enough, because I knew like that's all I was doing it for. I was doing it because I liked it and I wanted to share my viewpoints and myself and like the journey that I was on, and find other people who responded to that. And that's what I would say is just like, I mean, it's like the advice people give people who feel like they're not going anywhere with their dating lives or something. They're like, you need to just chill out, and like you need to just like focus on yourself and like do what you can, and people will be attracted to that. It's fucking true. Like, you just have to just chill out and like be interested in stuff, and that is infectious. Like, being interested in things and being passionate about stuff is infectious to other people, and that will come across in your podcasting or your streaming or your YouTubing or whatever. Once you focus on that, and once you develop your voice and you get over being scared, that's the other thing, is you get over being scared to be yourself. And I'm still struggling with that. I still, maybe less so, but yeah, I mean, it's scary to be yourself. People laugh at you. There'll be trolls who yell at you and call you a loser and shit. Like, just, you can do it. If you want to do it, you can do it.
Adam, wonderful, excellent advice right there. Really appreciate that. Yeah, I think a lot of people, myself included, are going to get a lot out of it. All right, so that brings us to your questions. If you have any questions for me, otherwise I got something else after that.
I don't know. What do we got? I feel like I gotta have one.
That's fine.
What are you are you listening to lately?
Well, let me think about this. It's sort of a lot of the same thing, like music has sort of like been on the back burner for me. I miss going to live concerts. I'd probably be seeing bands like Wolfpack and Cage the Elephant and Tame Impala if they were on tour in my area. Were it not for COVID, of course. So, we're looking forward to those being a reality and doing those safely again. But, yeah, honestly, I need to start listening to new music. Otherwise, I just like listen to like lo-fi in the background of my stream all day. It's just the same stuff. Yeah.
I get in the same way where I'll just listen to the same thing over and over. It's but I mean, it's fine. Like, I don't know. I'm past the point of thinking that you have to listen to like stuff that other people think will like make you look cool. Yeah. Like, I listen to fucking bluegrass music now.
Hell yeah,
it's
dude.
Very not cool.
No, what do you listen to? What kinds of stuff?
Bluegrass artists. People might be familiar. I know he's like kind of a big name. I'm actually wearing the shirt today, but Billy Strings obviously is a big one right now. He's kind of crossing over the jam band space with the traditional bluegrass.
All right.
Because he can actually play, like most jamgrass bands, they can't play real bluegrass. They stink. They're technically bad musicians. They don't have appreciation for like the roots. That's what I would say. And Billy Strings, he can throw down on anything. You can go play with the oldest, crustiest bluegrass dudes, and they'd be blown away by him just as much as any wook that's at the show. So I love him. But yeah, like traditionally, like I'm a big fan of Bill Keith's stuff. He's one of my favorite banjo players. Earl Scruggs, obviously. My advice to you, if you're trying to listen to bluegrass, is you go to this guy called Take, Take, Taki's Bluegrass Channel, and he has all these live bootlegs, and that's the way to listen to bluegrass. You can't really listen to albums because the culture is about the spontaneity, the process of playing with different musicians and knowing these familiar songs and seeing what little kind of tweak these guys do when they play together. So I'd recommend going to him. Yeah, listen to all Bill Keith stuff. David Grisman, Tony Rice, all those guys. It's great stuff.
The only bluegrass I listen to is like I don't even know if you consider it bluegrass, but I like Punch Brothers.
Oh yeah, famous Illini Noam Pikelny. He's an Illini. I actually added him to the famous Illini Wikipedia page.
Playing the banjo?
Yeah. He has a similar story. He started at Illinois in computer science. He was a child prodigy, sort of. He took lessons with Bela Fleck. He's from, I think, Skokie. And so if you're familiar with the old time folk music school, or Old Town, he took lessons through them, which is like prominent. John Prine is a famous musician who also came from that school. And he kind of like was like, oh, you know what? There's no future playing banjo. Like, it'll just be a fun thing that I do. Like, you know, like I'll still go to festivals and stuff on the weekends. I can have this nice job, which is, yeah, like, I mean, that's what folk music is about. Like, but like after a semester, he's like, fuck, I want to be a professional banjo player. And so he stayed at Illinois though, which as far as I know, there's no banjo teacher. So I think he kind of took something, some kind of independent study. But I don't know if he would say he's like a Illinois guy. I think he's firmly a Brooklyn dude now. So he's very funny. I really recommend watching his Funny or Die skits. He's an extremely funny guy. I love Gnome. Gnome has this album called Gnome Pikelny plays Kenny Baker plays Bill Monroe, which is a banjo player playing a fiddle album that was a fiddle player playing a mandolin player. So he has a really fun. It's a joke in one of the skits. It's about like how he's like it's what everybody was asking for: a banjo player playing a fiddle player playing a mandolin player. It's a classic story. But yeah, he's very very funny. I like him a lot.
Okay, love it. Okay, I'm gonna ask chat. Do you have any questions for Adam? If I see any questions, I'll pass them on to you, and you could feel free to answer any of those or pass. Again, chat, ask your questions, ask away. Otherwise, Adam, we have a little time if you have time here. I would say I'll probably say 5 minutes here. What's grinding your gears, dude? Like, what's on your mind these days? Like, what are you thinking about?
You know, like I said, I'm always thinking about how much I hate fucking having to work
Fuck it.
all the time and I mean, like, the work from home thing has been really nice because I'm not wasting so much time like commuting and sitting in an office, not doing anything, feeling trapped. Yeah. I'm very fortunate to live in Durham where there's great hiking about 10 minutes in every direction. So, nice. But yeah, you know, I mean, yeah, just, you know, just a big thing. It's like, I mean, like I said, I've kind of hit this point in my life, like I'm very well taken care of. And so all my complaints are minor and feel insignificant when I see the rest of the world, you know, it's like, you know, I'm very, very, just angry, you know, just watching like how the United States is never going to do anything about climate change. Like the COVID thing really just sent me off the edge for a long time, where like it was just clearly the plan for climate change is just like, let's just kill everybody for a while and then see if like we can get them into their Amazon pods at the company town. So like, yeah, I mean, I have a lot of like existential dread about the future. But yeah, you know, I will say, because I have the vaccine, I've gotten to go back to restaurants and stuff. Yeah. Living in Durham, I now have to see the fucking Duke students again, and at the restaurants act like total fucking idiots. And I was like telling my wife yesterday, I'm like, well, I'm already ready to go back in quarantine. So like, yeah, you know, the crowd, getting used to being in a crowd again is already like, I was never a huge fan of stuff like waiting in line and being in a huge crowd of people. So the quarantine in that respect was nice, but I'm going to try and be better about it, because I was trying to be better about it when the quarantine started. So that was my personal battle with the quarantine was that I was trying to improve my life, and then the quarantine made me have to delay working on that and set it all back again. So we'll see.
All right, Adam. I'm not seeing any questions from chat.
Looks like I sparked some jam band talk, which was a huge mistake. Huge mistake on my part. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, dude.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
I will say how I end with this is I did see my nature's healing thing that I saw is like I said, I went when I was in Nashville. We were there because we were going to go see Del McCurry, who's a bluegrass legend, just an absolute titan. And he's playing outside at this spot near where Bonnaroo is. And so there were a lot of hippies there. And, like people dressed like, I don't know, like a caricature of a hobo from the 30s meets Willy Wonka. And so, not that I don't, I get along with those people fine. They just, whatever. Won't get into the hippies. But my nature's healing is, I'm at the show, I'm enjoying myself, we're outside, we're listening to music again. Some spun wook comes up to me, just totally out of their mind, screaming about the parking lot, asking me if I know what's going on in the parking lot, just talking nonsense, way too close. And then I watched them fall down the entire hill, get up, and then fall face first into some barbed wire. So it was, just a classic spun, burnout, wook, at a show, having a good time. We're back. We're all here again together. So it was, it's just the little things that you forget that we forgot over the past year or so.
It's the little things.
Yeah. So, but yeah, thanks for having me, man. I enjoyed it. It was a great hour off of the work I've been doing. So,
yeah.
But yeah.
Appreciate it, Adam. Yeah, we'll go ahead and let you go then. We've invited you in the spirit of building leftist unity, strength, and power. You were a wonderful guest. Looking forward to jumping back on. We can't dive into everything in just an hour, but I think we planted some good seeds, some things worth returning to, many things keep you to keep chatting about, and hopefully you can keep teaching me and keep teaching my audience and in a future visit. Adam, thank you again, buddy. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, Dan. All right, buddy. We're gonna tell you solidarity and peace and solidarity. Thanks, buddy. Right. Sounds good. Woo! All right. Did I hit the wrong button? It's okay, no problem. I didn't. Did I? Yeah. That's okay. All right. Adam's great. Adam's so great. Hey, YouTube. You're watching a clip from my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/iDanSimpson, where you can follow for free and subscribe for only $5 a month. Thanks for watching.